Tell them that I have a technology problem.
Yeah. No one.
Dharni,
If you won't be able to hear Sheila, I will parrot her. Okay.
yeah, okay.
But I have to keep this on for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To hear Niti.
Right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. I can't hear you. You talk, I'll tell.
Okay.
No.
So,
Technological issue. My audio is not working. So, Dharani will be speaking on my behalf.
yeah, due to technological issues, Sheila's audio is not working. So I'm going to say whatever Sheila has to say. So please bear with us because technology sometimes lets us down. Welcome to the session of Nutrition Nectar, the session 2. This is Niti and this is Dharini. And Sheila will come back, but till she comes, I will be whatever she wants to say, I will be talking. Yes, Sheila, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dharani. As Dharani said, we have two experts, Dr. Dharani Krishnan and Mrs. Niti Jaipuria. Most of the registrants are from India, but we do have a couple of persons from overseas. We have a mixed viewership, dietitians, students, academicians, and software engineers.
Yeah, so Sheila introduced both of us, and she wants to say most of us are from India, the viewers, but there are some from abroad also. So welcoming all of you to this session, and there are dietitians and there are other people also. So we have information for both groups, dietitians also and non-dietitians also.
Okay, the flow of program will be, we will begin with an interactive session with Dharani, followed by coconut recipes showcased by Lucy, and finally we will answer viewers' questions.
Yeah, the flow of session would be that Sheila would ask me questions which I would reply, and then Niti will show us recipes, and further to that, your questions will be taken. Yes, go ahead, Sheila.
Please type your question in the Q&A box or use the raise hand option if you wish to appear on screen and ask a question directly to the speaker. Maybe you should not say this because the raise hand option I might not be able to operate.
Okay.
So say please type your questions in the Q&A box.
Chat box, right? Okay, please type your questions in the Q&A box and we will be able to handle it. I will just put the disclaimer slide. Just give me a second.
So Dharni is repeating everything.
Just give me a second. Yeah, can you see the disclaimer slide?
Yeah, can you read out the disclaimer slide, please?
Yeah, the views expressed in this program are for information only. Kindly seek a physician's help if you have a medical problem. Please consult a qualified dietitian for personalized diet plans. Thank you, viewers. Now we'll go on with the session. Sheila, you can ask the first question.
Yeah, the first question is, do you use coconut in your cooking? First, Dharani can answer and then Niti can answer.
Yeah. So the first question is, do you use coconut in your cooking? So my answer is we can eat it raw. Both mature and tender coconut can be eaten raw. It can be put in gravies, in a South Indian gravy called kootu, where we mix different vegetables, dal, and also add coconut as a masala, where we grind a lot of things with coconut. We can also make a chutney. We can do vegetable stew with coconut milk. And in sambar, a special type of sambar where the masala we roast with coconut and use it. It's a speciality. And then coconut rice can be made. Kerala dishes like TL, etc. can be made. Most Kerala dishes have coconut in them. And coconut oil can be used in many dishes.
Great. Can we have Neeti answering, please?
Yeah, I would say that even we use in the same way, like Dharni has mentioned, a lot of coconut is used mainly for South Indian dishes, which we have a taste for. And also we make coconut chutney, which goes very well with the idlis or dosa. And we use a lot of coconut even in our gravies to make it into a fine paste, add the masalas and make the gravies for many vegetables.
Yeah. Do we want to go to the next question?
Okay. Well, somebody here has typed in the chat saying that they can hear me.
Oh, okay. I'll remove the speaker then. Okay. Yeah. But I'll have to have the phone like this. It's okay. Yeah, carry on. Yeah, Sheila, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. I'll call her back. Okay, while Sheila comes, I'll go to the third question, which is coconut was seen as a villain some years ago, but now is considered to be a hero. So, what is my opinion on that? So, coconut was considered a villain some years ago because it had saturated fatty acids, and saturated fatty acids are directly related to, cardiovascular disease. But now it's a hero because they found that saturated fat, it mainly consists more than 50% of lauric acid, and this has many benefits, and it does not raise cholesterol or create fatty liver, to quote a few examples. Niti, has Sheila come? Is she there online?
I can't hear her.
Okay, so I'll move on then till Sheila comes. So, what is the, like, coconut water is very common, grated coconut, coconut milk, and oil, coconut oil has been part of the Indian homes for many years, right? But, and for centuries, our gardens have been having coconut. So, are there any special properties? Because the recent addition to the coconut products is coconut sugar. So, are there any special properties in coconut sugar? Is the questions. So, how is coconut sugar made? Most of us would think that just making the coconut flesh into sugar is what is normally done, but that's not the way it is made. They collect the coconut sap, and that is made into coconut sugar, and this comes from the coconut flour. It has a low glycemic index, 35, when actually white sugar is 65. Inulin as a fiber which exists in coconut sugar helps reduce glucose levels, and it is not refined. It has less fructose. The electrolytes present are high in potassium, magnesium, and sodium. So it has the ability to regulate the body's water content, and it's very good for the gut. Viewers, please keep adding your questions in the Q&A questions box, and we'll get back to it later. Now, the next question is, for the benefit of the viewers who are not dietitians, can you please elaborate on why coconut does not have cholesterol? In fact, some years ago, I would say almost 22 decades ago, there was a particular oil which advertised saying this is an oil without any cholesterol. So at that time, from the Indian Dietetic Association, we wrote to them saying cholesterol is present in, you see, the group of products which are basically non-plant in nature, whether it's egg, and cheese also comes from milk, which is from the cow, shellfish, pasture-raised steak, organ meats, sardine, and full-fat yogurt. So the sources of cholesterol are non-plant sources. And the oils that we use in India are seed-based. So the seed-based or coconut-based oils do not have cholesterol. So foods of vegetable origin or those who are plant-based, they do not contain cholesterol. Initially, it was thought that high saturated content of coconut produce cholesterol in the body. But this has also been refuted by recent research, which we'll be seeing as we go forward. And basically, we find that lauric acid is the one which is very good, and it actually helps in reducing cardiac disease. So, for those who are not dietitians, I hope this has been made clear that cholesterol in food comes only from mainly non-vegetarian products. Those foods which contain high saturated fat can create, extra LDL in the blood, which can create cardiovascular disease. But that is not true in coconut anymore, because the lauric acid, it does not increase the LDL. Now, the next question that is asked is, how does coconut consumption influence the plasma lipid levels? So, lipid means basically fats in the blood. Plasma is blood, okay, part of the blood. So, coconut oil contains 90% saturated fat, which is higher than butter, beef fat, or lard. You may be very surprised to see this, but that's the truth. In butter, it's like 60%, in beef, it's like 50 odd percent, and so on. So, research in the past assumed that such high levels of saturated fat can actually raise the cholesterol levels in the plasma of people who eat a lot of coconut. But actually, when you see the type of fats in coconut oil, we find that about half of the saturated fats have 12 or less carbon atoms. In fact, lauric acid, which is a 12 carbon atom 12 carbon atom fatty acid. It is a major saturated fatty acid, and it's followed by considerable amount of short chain fatty acids such as capric, caproic, and caprolic acids. Yeah, it may sound a bit technical for the non-dietitians, but please bear with me, because we need these facts to explain further how it affects the lipids in the plasma. So, lauric acid does not raise LDL cholesterol, which is a long chain fatty acid, but it does not raise the LDL cholesterol, that is the low density lipid. And coconut oil actually raises the HDL cholesterol. So, to a person who is not a dietitian, you should understand that LDL cholesterol is termed as the bad cholesterol, and HDL cholesterol is called as the good cholesterol. So, if you see in coconut oil, because of the lauric acid, it actually creates better heart health. Now, the next question is, what is the role of MCFA or MCT in the body, And does it benefit people with Alzheimer's? So now first to say, what is MCFA? It is medium chain fatty acids. And what is MCT? Medium chain triglycerides. I'm sure whenever you see any healthy products, people will always say look for MCTs, medium chain triglycerides, and things like that. So why are they so good? Because they are good for brain and memory function. That is why, even in the one of the best purposes we used to use coconut oil was for enteral feeding. Enteral feeding means through the tube directly to the stomach. We used to feed patients, those who are, undergone surgery or have some, issues. So in the hospital scenario, we used to feed them enteral feeds where coconut oil was used. So it gives you better brain and memory function. The energy boost and increased endurance because of the shorter chain than other long chain fatty acids. It is absorbed and used for energy immediately. This is one of the things that all of us need to know, that the medium chain triglycerides or medium chain fatty acids, they are directly absorbed and used for energy. And they are used for energy by the brain. And weight loss and improved weight management, lot of coconut oil is coming in because of its MCTs, because it actually burns the fat. And it is lower in cholesterol or no cholesterol. It lowers cholesterol. It has no cholesterol, but MCTs from non-vegetarian products do have cholesterol. But the MCT actually lowers the cholesterol in the body, and it also helps in lowering blood sugars. So, does MCT benefit people with Alzheimer's disease? What is Alzheimer's disease? It is basically one of the diseases which affects the function of the memory of people, and it's a big problem today. As people age, people get into Alzheimer's. In fact, there's a study where when bankers took VHS very early in life, maybe at the age of 45, these people were followed for the next 10 to 15 years, and they found that those who kept their brains active by doing Sudoku or playing or teaching children or learning newer skills, they did not get into Alzheimer's. But people who don't keep their brain active, they can get into Alzheimer's disease. So there is a classic case, even a book by Dr. Newport, it is her personal experience. She is a doctor herself, and her husband Steve had Alzheimer's, and so she was searching for ways to reverse and the decline. What happens in Alzheimer's is you start very slowly, but as years goes, it progresses so badly that people can even forget who they are. They can ask their spouse that who are you? They can ask their own children who are you? So to that level, the brain function is affected. So the moment she knew her husband had Alzheimer's, she wanted to halt or reverse the disease, and she did so by using coconut oil. So there is a huge book by her which actually says it can be done. But in research, we cannot go by one case study. So when we look at the Alzheimer's Society, they do not support this. We need more studies before we can decide how it will help, but we need to actually work on this area. According to Ayurveda, because I love integrating modern nutrition with Ayurveda, so in Ayurveda, Alzheimer's is developed due to Vata increase. Basically, our bodies are made up of three types of doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So those who have increased Vata, Alzheimer's can be developed, and coconut oil actually is very good in reducing the Vata of a person. So maybe it links. We need to work furthermore to find out whether the truth is there. Coconut also is called Mahamedya, which means it nourishes the mind. So this is what Sushruta says in his book, which is fantastic, because if coconut oil can nourish the mind, then it is very good. Now we move on to the next question. Niti, has Sheila come back?
Sheila, we can't hear you. That's it.
Okay, she's there, but okay.
Yeah, she's there.
Okay, fine. So just tell her I'm continuing. If she wants me to say something more, she can call me. Okay.
She can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. How are the cytokines in coconut helpful? This is the next question. So here we have various, like, what are cytokinins? Cytokinins actually are phytohormones, particularly cytokinins, one of the most interesting components reported, which is present in coconut water. Cytokinins have shown some significant anti-aging, anti-carcinogenic, anti-thrombotic effects that contribute to various health benefits. Anti-aging, why would not any of us jump to it, right? Because all of us want to be young all the time, isn't it? And if you see those who are above 80, 85, they look younger than those who are 70, 75. And those who are 70, 75 look younger than those who are 60, 65. I'm just kidding. So the main thing is that it can help in anti-aging. And if something can help in anti-cancer, carcinogenic means anti-cancer properties, and this is very good. So you can obviously take it, and it also can help in anti-thrombotic effects, which means blood clots can be reduced. So these are the big benefits of cytokinins, which are present in coconut water. The next question is there an upper limit to coconut consumption for a healthy adult? So if I go for studies, there is absolutely none. We could not find any quantity to say don't take this more than this much of coconut. Yeah, but too much of anything is bad, isn't it? We know that. There is a proverb in Tamil which says, even if Amrit, the nectar, is taken in larger quantities, there will be trouble. So we cannot take anything in large quantities because basically there are 5 food groups and we may be not taking one of the food groups and we will go into deficiencies of some kind. Coming to coconut oil, basically, so coconut, 2 tablespoons of coconut per person, 3 to 4 times a week is fantastic. Or one day you want to use it a little more in a coconut chutney, that's also fine. But coming to coconut oil, basically we are allowed only 3 to 4 teaspoons per day. In that, if you want to make 2 teaspoons as coconut oil, that is fine, which could be your cooking medium or you're adding it to something, that's fine. But today, with a lot of people working on ketogenic diets, they even use more than 2 tablespoons per day. But I would be careful and I would assess the person's health before I prescribe. So 2 teaspoons is good enough. If you want to go to 2 tablespoons, which is actually 6 teaspoons, you have to be more careful. And there are people who take about, 2 tablespoons 3 times a day. That's a lot of coconut oil. We have to be careful, and that has to be done under medical supervision. Now, coming to coconut, south of India, coconut is very common. And so also a lot of neighboring countries, tropical countries, who have this wonderful palm. Actually, when we went to Thailand or you go to Sri Lanka, you will feel that you're in Kerala because there would be a lot of coconut trees, in their landscape. So coconut is considered to be a panacea of illness by the Pacific Islanders, and they call it the tree of life because it has so many benefits. So they call it the tree of life, and hence the name tree of life. So I think I will stop with this slide on Ayurveda also, which talks about what is coconut oil. It is sweet in taste. The Sushruta Samhita tells us this. It is very cooling for the body. That is why you know that in Kerala, they use coconut oil every day in their hair and then they wash it off. So this actually gives them very cool, because in these summer months, and in south of India, it's almost only one kind of temperature that we see, hot, hotter, and hottest. And we are in the hottest part of the season of the year now. So cooling helps because the heat around is so intense. You can have burning sensation in the eyes, you can have itching in the body, you can feel very tired. So coconut oil helps in all of this. You could actually use coconut oil and have a bath. It really cools you. You can put coconut oil in your eyes and then you can wash it off when you feel very cold. And you can eat a little bit of coconut oil, which cools the system. Now, it pacifies both Vata and Pitta, these two types of Prakritis. So, it helps. If you have high Vata or high Pitta, coconut oil can help in many ways, and coconut also. It's mildly diuretic. So, coconut actually removes the extra water from the body, which is good. And all of us know that coconut water does that because it's also very rich in potassium. It depresses Agni, that is, it gives satiety. In Ayurveda, when they say Agni, Agni means the digestive power of a person. So, if you actually eat coconut, what it does is it actually reduces the digestive, that's not the way to say it, but what it says is it gives you satiety. And that's very good, isn't it? Because in a smaller quantity, we can actually feel full, and after that, we can actually work on other kind of foods, or we won't feel hungry faster. So with this, we'll go on to cardiovascular health and coconut. So this I've already told you that coconut has lauric acid. It's a medium chain fatty acid, which is easily absorbed and transported directly to the liver, and where it's directly rapidly metabolized rather than being stored as fat. That is why they say if you have other types of fat like trans fat or high saturated fats from other types of food, it can lead to fatty liver. Today you will be totally surprised that even very young children, 25, 30, 35, if you notice, they already have fatty liver because the kind of food they are eating neither has fiber, nor has phytonutrients, nor has the right type of fats. So here lauric acid actually plays a major role. Ketone bodies, which are metabolites of lauric acid, can be used for energy by extrahepatic tissues, which is the brain and the heart. Lauric acid shows less accumulation to fat than other saturated fatty acids, and ketones in the bloodstream induce insulin secretion, and coconut oil does not drive cholesterol into the tissues because it's already burned for the energy of the brain and the heart. And meta-analysis shows in human studies that the total cholesterol is to HDL ratio is reduced when you take coconut in the form, and the lauric acid is responsible for that. And this is a heart-friendly thing, which is very good. Now we'll do the virgin coconut oil. Virgin coconut oil is now very common. It's either, and it is a big antioxidant. First, let's talk about what is virgin coconut oil. Virgin coconut oil is just directly getting the oil from the coconut and using it without processing it. You can filter it, but nothing more than that. So the antioxidants are there, the antimicrobial properties are there, the antiviral properties are there, and anti-hypercholesterolemic and ulcerogenic, anti-ulcerogenic properties. So there is a whole huge, and most important is anti-inflammatory and anti-thrombotic activities. All of us know today that inflammation is the root cause of most of the problems in our body, including the non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, liver issues, even some forms of cancer is related to inflammatory disease. So if there is something that can reduce inflammation, reduce thrombosis, that is clots creation, reduce cholesterol, is also antiviral in this pandemic that we are facing, that is fantastic, and antioxidant too. So the functional components of coconut, such as tocopherol, sterol, and squalene, are conserved besides maintaining the fatty acids without any polymerization. Natural antioxidant properties of coconut are preserved. Thank you very much for your patient hearing, and I hand over to Sheila. I'll stop sharing my slides. Just a minute, Sheila, I'll take over. Just a second. Let me stop sharing. Just a second. Sheila, I can't hear you, so I think I'll put the off speaker, and can you talk to me, please? I'll put you off speaker. Last time I put you on speaker, sorry, because I had to listen to Neeti and you. This time I'll put you off speaker. Sorry, viewers, for this confusion. Yeah, Sheila, please call me. It says I'm not able to get you. Yeah, we connected. Yes, Sheila. Yeah. Yeah. Sheila thanks me for my presentation and the extensive talk on coconut. Now she requests Neeti to share her slides and recipes on coconut.
Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Sheila and Dharni. Going with the coconut theme, I'll present you my slides and the food that I have made today. Give me a moment, please. So here goes. What I've done today is a tomato shorba, a Far Eastern steamed curry rice, Mughalai mirch ka salan, and a chia mango coconut delight. Going with the first tomato shorba, what I've taken is some tomatoes, half a cup of coconut milk, a teaspoon of gram flour, which is besan, a teaspoon of ghee, or you can use peanut oil, some cumin seeds, 2 slit green chilies, and a tablespoon of jaggery powder, salt and pepper to taste, of course, and some finely chopped coriander to garnish.
Yeah.
The preparation is you take the tomatoes and boil it and cook it in the pressure cooker for about 4 to 5 whistles on high flame. Cool it and blend it and make it into a tomato puree. Mix the coconut milk with the besan in a bowl. Coconut milk, the way you prepare is you grate the coconut. If you take a cup of coconut, grated coconut, add 2 cups of water and blend it in your mixie and strain it. You press it hard, take out all the milk, collect it in a vessel. Again, reuse the coconut which is left behind on your sieve. Put some more water and blend it once again in the mixie, and then collect all the coconut milk. That is the way to make coconut milk. Going forward, you take ghee or oil in the pan, add the jeera and the slit green chilies, add the tomato puree and the coconut besan mixture to the pan, Add the jaggery, salt and pepper, and cook on a medium flame for 4 to 5 minutes, stirring continuously. The role of the gram flour or besan is just to thicken the shorba. And then once it's boiled well, garnish it with coriander. The optional ingredients that I have given you is you can add fried chopped garlic, which will give a very good flavor for those who are very fond of garlic, or you can add a teaspoon of wheat noodles to turn this recipe into an oriental bowl. The next is the Far Eastern steamed curry rice. For this, I take 1.5 cups of cooked steamed rice, a teaspoon of garlic paste, a teaspoon of red chili paste. For this red chili paste, you soak dried red chilies for half an hour in a little bit of water. Once it's soaked completely, you can run it in the mixie. You get this red chili paste. Again, coconut milk, which is half a cup, and a cup of boiled vegetables. The vegetables can be of your choice. You can take carrot, beans, peas, baby corn, cauliflower, whatever you wish to. A cup of them. And 1 tablespoon of finely chopped basil leaves, half a teaspoon of lemon rind, 2 teaspoons of oil, and salt to taste. The method of cooking this is you steam the rice, cook the rice, keep it aside, heat olive oil, add the garlic paste and the red chili paste, and saute it for 2 or 3 minutes. Then you add the coconut milk, add the boiled vegetables, the basil, the lemon rind, salt, and bring the coconut milk to a boil. Now, once the coconut milk is boiling with the vegetables, add the rice, mix it well, and allow it to cook on a low flame for 3 to 4 minutes. All the coconut milk over these 3 to 4 minutes will get evaporated or it will get consumed by the cooked rice. Optional choices are you can add fried chopped garlic to enhance the flavor of your dish. You can also add roasted peanuts, which gives a lovely crunch to this recipe. And if you want, you can serve this rice with the curry separately. That is, you use the steamed rice and you use the vegetables which are cooked in the coconut milk separately and just make it into a steamed rice and curry. The next one on my menu is the Mughlai Mirch Ka Salan. Here, I have taken 6 bhaji mirchis. By this, I mean these are green chilies which are not so spicy. They are very low on the fiery end and they are used to make either the salan or we make pakoras out of it. So you take about 6 bhaji mirchis. You take 2 teaspoons of roasted peanut, 2 tablespoons of grated coconut, which is fresh, a large chopped onion, 4 to 5 cloves of garlic, a small piece of ginger, 2 teaspoons of oil, half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, 4-5 curry leaves, 2 tablespoons of tamarind water, and salt to taste. Going forward, the method is you slit the green bhaji chilies and deseed them, saute them in a pan with just a little oil, less to half a teaspoon of oil, and keep them aside. Now in a pan, heat the oil, add the garlic, the onions, the ginger, and cook it on a low flame until brown. Cool it and blend this mixture along with the roasted peanuts and grated coconut to form a smooth paste. After this is done, again take the same pan, put a teaspoon of oil, add the mustard seeds, the curry leaves, and the ground paste which you have done with the ginger, garlic, and onion, and add 1.5 cups of water and salt. Cook this on a medium flame for 5 to 7 minutes. Add the sauteed chilies and the tamarind water and further cook it for 2 to 3 minutes. This is best served with rice. You can also have it with rotis. The optional, what I've given you choices here is instead of bhaji mirchis or the green chilies, You may also use green pepper or fried brinjal pieces to this dish, and it will bring out a completely different flavor. I would like to mention the proportion of the peanuts and the coconut, which I have mentioned, is proportionate, which because each of these ingredients have a very strong flavor. So do not try and add more of any of these ingredients, as they bring out a balance of taste in this dish. Now coming to the dessert of the evening, this is a chia mango coconut delight. Here I have taken coconut milk, like I have mentioned earlier. You have to take grated coconut, put it in a mixing jar, add 2 teacups of water, and blend it for a minute or so. Sieve it, collect the coconut milk. Again, take the coconut that is remaining on your sieve, add a little more water, and again blend it once again. And firmly press the coconut either in a muslin cloth or in a sieve, and collect the coconut milk. Now 200 of ml to 200 of ml of milk, coconut milk, we add 2 or 2.5 teaspoons of chia seeds, preferably white, but if that is not available, you can use the normal black chia seeds. Add 2 teaspoons of honey, and take a large ripe mango and dice it. Add 2 teaspoons of sugar to it, a pinch of saffron, which is optional, and you can garnish it with rose petals, or you can garnish it with pistachios. The method to make this coconut delight is you whisk the coconut milk and the chia seeds and honey together well, and leave it in the refrigerator overnight or for 2 to 3 hours, so that the chia seeds swell up, taking in the coconut milk and form a thick paste. If it's the same day, after 3 to 4 hours, you dice the mango, add powdered sugar to it and the saffron, and keep it aside in a bowl. Next, we have to layer a bowl or a glass jar, and we have to layer it alternatively with the set pudding, which is the coconut milk and the chia seeds, and the mango. Layer it in 2-3 layers and garnish it with fresh mango right on top, pistachio or rose petals. Now I will give you a visual of all the mentioned items on the menu. Give me a moment, please. So this is the tomato shorba, which I have mentioned.
Okay.
It is tomato and coconut milk.
Yeah.
It is tomato and coconut milk, which is garnished with fresh coriander leaves. It gives a very lovely flavor of tangy tomato and a sweetness of coconut milk. This is the Far East rice, which I have mentioned. The rice should be cooked where the grains are separate. Absolutely. Yeah, and it has a lovely flavor of coconut milk. And we have garnished it with some basil leaves right on top. I hope the viewers are able to see it. Now, this is the mirchi ka salan, which I have mentioned, the Mughlai style. I have used these green chilies, which are large in size and quite thick. These are not spicy or fiery, and this is what we use to make this mirchi ka salan. So it has a thick gravy. It has a thick gravy and these sauteed chilies, which are there in it. And it goes very well with, mostly with steamed rice or biryani, and also with rotis, it tastes very good. And coming to our dessert, this is the mango chia delight. So we can see the coconut milk and the chia seeds, which forms a thick pudding, and we dice the mangoes, and we have topped it with saffron and a mint leaf. So this is it. The honey gives it the sweetness, and we have used mango because that's the seasonal fruit of right now. So I have used that to incorporate that in this recipe, because using fresh fruit, which is the seasonal fruit, is the best to incorporate in all your recipes. Yeah.
So thank you, Neeti, for the wonderful presentation. Amazing. The chia seed mango was just fantastic. And every recipe for that matter, the rice, how beautiful it was. And now, thanks for that. We'll take questions. Sheila will ask me the questions and then we'll take it forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I'm holding the phone and talking to Dharani on the phone is because some viewers are able to hear me directly and some are not. So I will,
Sheila,
route
we
the
can actually
questions.
hear you now. We can
Okay.
hear you now. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Finally. All right. So let's go on to the question answers. Before I move on to the question answers, I would really like to thank both Bharani and Niti for a wonderful presentation. And like I said, technology had some issues in the beginning. My audio, some people could hear and some people could not hear my voice. And most importantly, the speakers could not hear my voice. So so we had to route the entire program through Dharani. My apologies for that, and I'm very happy to hear that my voice is back on this platform. So let's do the Q&A now. There are plenty of questions as always. So let's start with the first one. Dharani, this is to you. Can a renal patient have tender coconut water?
See, actually, renal patients, if their potassium is high, tender coconut water is not a great idea. But on the same note, if we really have tender coconut water, which actually means zero malai inside, it's only plain water, then they can have, because that has lesser potassium. That's all. Not that they can have it every day, but once in a way, make lovely recipes like Niti has done, then you can give them an option, isn't it? So that's
Yeah. Right. So that was a question from Ramya Mahesh. We have a question from Priyal Gala. What is your take on cold pressed extra virgin coconut oil? I think you've already answered that, but would you like to say anything more?
yeah. No, it's fine. We have already given, and I understand my slides. Could you see or not? I don't know. Somebody said.
No, the slides were not visible at all to anybody.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I think only you were able to see your slides.
okay. I'm really sorry for that.
No, that's okay. Again, a technology issue. I guess it's beyond our control.
Yeah.
Uh, so, okay,
Yeah.
Veena Upadhyay writes, how much coconut sugar can we give to diabetic patients?
It's not a great idea, though it has glycemic index of 35. See, the problem is the moment you tell diabetics you can eat something sweet, they overdo it, right? So if it's a
100%.
patient who will listen to you, there are some people, if you say half a teaspoon, they'll take only quarter. So such patients you can give, and small quantities, not more than 1 or 2 teaspoons for 100%. Sure, it's less glycemic, but it's not zero. So you have to be, meaning it's not equivalent to artificial sweeteners where it has, no calories and may not rise sugar. It is better than cane sugar. That's it.
Okay, wonderful. Lingala Tejaswini writes, how far is it true to change cooking oils? I think what she's trying to ask is it okay to change cooking oils or is it necessary to change cooking oils?
See, as dietitians, we know that to balance the type of fats, we need to use two types of oil. One, which is PUFA alone, like sunflower oil, 25% of it, and 75% of traditional oil, or other types. Like I would use coconut oil for something. I would use gingerly oil for something. I would use. So out of the 15 ml per day, 5 ml can be the full PUFA, and 10 ml could be a mix of others. But nowadays, there are a lot of doctors who are actually saying change your oils because they really don't have the time to sit and explain all this. So I think as dietitians, we need to do it right. We need to tell them 75% of traditional oil, whatever recipes you want to use it in, and 25% of high PUFA oils.
Okay, thank you. Susan Verghese has a question. She says, can we consume cold pressed coconut oil directly to reduce cholesterol?
See, cold press coconut oil, because of the antioxidants and a whole list of other things I said, if you know the source is good, you can take it raw and it's good. But to reduce cholesterol, it needs a lot of time. See, cholesterol has a multiple issues. One is endogenous cholesterol, which is produced by stress, which means you have to handle stress. But is it coming from the diet? Then definitely this can happen.
Okay. The next question is from do you recommend Priyal Gala again? Do you recommend coconut oil for weight loss?
See, why it's used for weight loss is basically it directly burns into the heart or brain for energy usage. But we need to be careful. We can give coconut oil, but the thing is, the total fat, the total calories are also important. The thing that worries me is the moment they say keto diet, they will give you 2 bottles of 2 liters, 1 liter each of coconut oil and say consume it in a month. So this kind of, gives me the jerk. We need to be careful. We
Yeah.
can't overdo anything.
Yeah, there's a question from Vidya Gaonkar. She wants to know, ma'am, can we overcome B12 deficiency with consumption of coconut and daily meal?
That alone won't be enough. If you're a vegetarian, if you take extra fiber in your diet, your good bacteria will create the B12. That's how in yesteryears people managed. But today we tend to eat less of fiber and hence the problem. But if you do have, you or your patient has B12 deficiency, it's very easy to correct it through supplements and then maintain it through diet.
Yeah. Bhavna Kini asks about coconut sugar. Can it be used in coffee and tea?
Go ahead, no problem. You're not
Okay.
diabetic, no problem.
All right. Again, she has another question. Does coconut oil on empty stomach help in IBS, irritable bowel syndrome?
Yeah, I know. But IBS, see, we have to look at it again because the stage of IBS is very important. Yeah, you can try. Not that there is research to prove that it's good or bad. Coconut oil is good and you can, but early morning, who would want to take oil? That's a different thing. So it all depends on the person, the severity of the disease, their practices. If somebody is used to mustard oil, you tell them have coconut oil, it may not work. So, I mean, there are many multiple factors, but you can try. There's no harm in trying.
Okay, so I suppose she will try that. Avantina Bandari asks, coconut oil has become the in oil for Weight Watchers. Do you endorse the view, or coconut oil has its share of heart ailments? Whether it's okay for Weight Watchers or does it contribute to heart ailments? I think that's the question she's trying to ask.
Yeah, I address this saying that coconut oil will not lead to heart disease. That was the older theory. Because of the saturated fat, they said that it's not good for health. And now, because of the lauric acid, it's not a problem. It actually reduces the LDL, it increases the HDL, so there's no problem. But again, a caution on don't overdo.
Okay, we have a question on oil pulling therapy. Can we use coconut oil for oil pulling therapy?
See, we have heard and researched only on gingerly oil so far. Maybe you can try, I'm not sure, but there is no research on coconut oil as of now. But definitely sesame or gingerly oil, there is lot of research and it's related to oil pulling.
Okay, there is Kranti Bandi writes, what time is the best time to take coconut water?
Coconut water can be taken at any time. And
Yeah.
if it's empty stomach, they always say best because anything in Ayurveda, they say empty stomach. So it's awesome because it has so many benefits, right? But my only caution is anybody in the hospital, immediately we carry coconut water or oranges, which is a culture, right? But make sure their potassium is not high. So those who are high in potassium cannot take tender coconut water, because the one you carry may not be the one I spoke about. That is, without any malai inside. It may not be that type. So be careful. You can have it at any time. Absolutely no problem.
Okay, great. Niti, can you share some tips on where and how you would use coconut oil, or would you use coconut oil as a substitute for any other cooking oil when you prepare your dishes? And if yes, how you would use that?
Personally, I would choose the vegetable. First, I will choose which vegetable I'm making in coconut oil. Every vegetable does not go well with the flavor of a coconut oil. So it depends on what vegetable you are cooking, and seeing that, you have to choose coconut oil. I would say like that.
Okay,
Like a lady's finger will not taste good with coconut oil. It tastes
okay,
horrible. Yeah. A
okay.
potato, yes, definitely. I think will add flavor to a potato vegetable. And also, I think more of dry vegetables which you're going to make, coconut oil can be used, whereas the gravy ones will give a very distinct flavor to, lend a very distinct flavor to the gravy, which you have to get accustomed to. You have to be used to the flavor of that, because every person I know, especially Kerala, barring Keralites, you need to develop a taste for coconut oil. Coconut
Yeah.
banana chips taste best fried in coconut oil, but not other chips like a potato chip will taste terrible. So it
Yeah.
depends on what vegetable you would like to cook.
I
Yeah.
see. So, besides vegetables, what about other dishes like, I don't know, roti, maybe pulao, maybe a dal, or any of those dishes?
Personally, I have not used so much of coconut oil in our food, because being North Indians, we have not used much of that. So I can't give you too many options. But roti, I don't think is a total no-no. I'd rather have it dry than put coconut oil. Personally, that is what I would say. Yeah. And even I think rice, it's best cooked with coconut, grated coconut or coconut milk, but coconut oil again will give a very distinct flavor. If you have a taste for that, you will love it, but not otherwise.
Okay, great. We're almost nearing the end of the session, but Mary Reggie has just written, my research in MPhil was coconut oil and fish eaters and their impact on lipid profile in the year 1992.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic, Mary. Congratulations, and thank you for sharing this information. And perhaps you could, Mary. Can you just raise your hand? There is a raise hand option button on your screen, I think. Can you just click on that raise hand so I can bring you on screen and you can share a little bit information? Mary, if you're there, can you please do that? Oh, excellent session. Excellent session. Thank you very much for that compliment. Well, I'm not sure if Mary has heard me. I would have liked her to come on screen and share, her MPhil information. But we have 2 minutes to go. So if you would like, there are no more questions coming here. So if either of you would like to share something with the viewers before we say thank you and bye bye, please let me know.
Yeah, I think that coconut oil is very typical of Kerala. And if you see the earlier part, they did not have so much of heart disease. But today, if you see, Kerala is actually peaking. It's almost at the highest, I think, in our country. And the reason is because they have parota, which is full of trans fatty acids, and they actually don't have fruits and vegetable in their diet, and this could be disastrous. So while they're eating coconut oil, which is very good for the heart, on the same note, they're eating a lot of parota, which is full of trans fats. So that's the message to the
Defeating.
dietitians, that we need to balance things. When we have 5 food groups, all 5 are important. They need vegetable, they make pineapple, they sell it to the world. They sell it to India all over, but they don't eat it. They have such fantastic greenery around, and they can make all the vegetables they want. But today you ask, oh, we don't eat so much of vegetables, is what they say. So it's very important because heart disease in Kerala is going up by, it's doubling and tripling. So we need to really stem it. And if there are any dietitians from Kerala here, I would really tell them, please encourage your clients to include all the 5 foods.
Yeah. Great. So there is another compliment saying very informative session from Matruvalli Durairaj. Ramya Mahesh saying, thank you very much for the update. Great session. And the earlier compliment came from Alka Sangvi. And we have reached the end of the session. It's 5:32, 2 minutes past the time that we were supposed to end. Thank you so very much once again, Dharani and Niti, for being on this session, sharing your expertise and your knowledge with all the viewers. And my request to the viewers is, if you have any topic suggestions for future sessions, please do write either in the Q&A box or send an email to me. My email address is sheelakrishnaswamy@gmail.com. It's very simple. My full name continuous @gmail.com. So once again, thank you very much, all of you viewers and speakers, for being on the session. I really enjoyed myself in spite of the technical glitch. It was great listening to you and great interacting with the viewers as well. Thank you, and we'll meet again soon.
Thanks,
you, Sheila.
Sheila. And
Thank you, Dharani.
thanks so
Bye-bye.
much. We enjoyed.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
And